Hey guys, so my name's Don. Some of you may have met me. I'm an absolute scrub. I'm really bad at this game. I don't play too often, but I do work at a card shop, which is really cool because I get to open loads and loads of this stuff. Yeah, so I'm just going to be talking about the Lair of Darkness deck. Obviously, my insight into this isn't going to be as deep as some of you. But yeah, I got my hands on one of these today. They released today, by the way. Very sweet, lots of cool trap stuff. And yeah, I figured I'd just open it and chat about things that stood out to me, maybe get some comments from you guys. Hopefully, it helps me get better at the game and gives you some ideas. Oh my gosh, this packaging is so impossible to open. Anyway, there's a Lilith right in front over there, which is one of the cards that I quite... there we go, I found it. But I mean, the packaging is known. I mean, the contents of the packaging is known. Oh, cool. The 5 cards I care most about are right in front of the pack over there. So yeah, I might be able to get some pictures up as well. I'm not really sure what's available, but yeah. So one thing about this is it's just there are only dark monsters and support cards for dark things. It's a very dark deck. Don't show your pastor or anything like this. He's just gonna maintain that it's super evil. But aside from that, let's see if we can get some of these things up over here. Oh dear. See, the card images are only in Japanese, unfortunately. So this is this one here. There we go. I'm pointing at it now. Is the sort of the bottom end of the cool stuff that comes in this deck. And possibly, the core, whatever this might be. It's called Arima the Wicked Warden. Dark 1/7 on the front, 0 on the back. And yeah, it basically it lets you discard it when it's in your hand, and it searches for Lair of Darkness. So it's like terraforming that goes and finds the field spell that comes in this deck. And then also it's got another ability once per turn, only hard once per turn. Because it's attached to the name, you can tribute a dark monster and then you draw a card. Or if you tributed a dark monster other than this card, instead of just drawing a card, you instead run a search through your deck and you add a dark monster with 2,000 or less defense from your deck to your hand. So it searches for the other 2 main dark monsters that come with this deck. And I think it's quite a good enabler for other things. I mean, you can go fetch a dark armed dragon with it, and it adds a dark monster to your graveyard, during that process. So it makes summoning it a bit easier. And then it also, yeah, so it fetches the boss monster that comes with this deck. Let me see if I can pull up an image of that guy. Sorry if this is a bit slow. I'm a tad new to this. Picture. What is this guy's name? So he's called Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair. It's a dark monster, and it's got 3k on the front, yeah, 2,000 on the back. So it matches the conditions on Arima over here, so you will be able to search for it. And I believe since the tribute resolves first, and this guy's in your hand when it checks, did you tribute a dark monster this turn, you can actually just summon him off of immediately off the search of Arima, because you did tribute a dark monster to search for him. So you can just search for it, summon him immediately. He's pretty big, and he's got some cool text. He says, so it's a 3,000, 2,000, as I've said, dark monster. Your opponent can't tribute it, so it's kaiju proof. This guy cannot be kaiju'd. Very cool. Also can't be targeted with card effects, a little bit of protection, and then the preceding effects. So everything underneath that I'm about to mention is also a hard once per turn. It's attached to the name. If a dark monster you control is tributed, except during the damage step, you can special summon this thing from your graveyard as well. So the thing that Arima triggers when it searches, it also works if this card is in your graveyard. And then also, you can just tribute a dark monster. It doesn't specify you control, which matters because of the field spell we're going to talk about later. And then it rips a card from their hand. So they either put it on top of their deck or at the bottom. Yeah, I think they get to choose, but I mean, it eats resources from their hand. They'll probably put the cards on top so they get to draw them next turn, but still, it gives them less to work with, and it's a steady -1 if you can keep feeding it a dark monster each turn. Yeah, and then so there's another monster in here, Lilith, which is the one I like the most. Once again, I'm not very good at this game, so things that I like might not be that amazing. I do think she's super cool though. I also like the artwork. So let's see if I can get a picture of that up. Transition. Show me the card. Where is she? There we go. So it's Lilith, Lady of Lament, and if it's normal summoned, it gets smaller. So it's a 2000 on the front and 0 on the back. So you can search with it with Arima, the first monster I mentioned, and you can just normal summon it. But then it shrinks, so it's actually not like a 3-star 2K, it's a 3-star 1K unless you special summon it, which is probably something you can do. And then this really cool effect that she has, it's a quick effect, so you can respond to things with it, you can chain to certain other bits, and it says you search your deck for 3 normal traps, reveal them to your opponent, and then shuffle them, choose one at random, and set that one face down, which is kind of cool. It lets you set up like in their turn, next turn, to have things to do if they want to mess with your combat or blow up your dudes or whatever. It just lets you prepare, and if you do it at the end of your turn, then you've got some cool trap set up. Maybe you can stick down, I don't know, a bunch of mirror forces. That's a pretty cool thing you can do actually. You search for storming, quaking, and regular mirror force, I suppose. I don't know if that's a good thing to do, maybe, and then you're bound to end up with one of them face down, even though it's random. So if your opponent doesn't have any effects that stop you from activating stuff during battle or combat damage or whatever, then you've just got this guaranteed that you can search for with her, or you can get a torrential tribute, I think. I mean, if you're in a prickly situation, that does seem like something you can do. And then I've been asking a bunch of people like how it works, but I think there's a card called Temple of the Kings, which allows you to activate one trap card the turn that you set it, which makes this thing really interesting because then you can actually chain to the activation of certain effects. And since the resolution of this is revealing the cards and setting them face down, there's quite a few traps that actually meet their timing at that point. Like if your opponent summons a monster and you have the card called what is it called? Temple of the Kings. Let me see if I can get a picture of it quickly. We can probably get it in English since the card has been released already. So it says that you can activate a trap the turn you get to play it. It's probably way too cute, not anything that would actually happen in competitive play, but I don't play competitively, so I don't care. I just think it's sweet. Where's this thing? Temple of the King. So it says you can activate one trap the card it was set, one trap card the turn it was set. So with Lilith, you can, they do something, you chain this, you go get a torrential tribute, and then when their monster summoning resolves, the tribute's on the battlefield, and since Temple of the King says you can activate things or traps, one trap, the turn that you set it, it meets the timing. It can be legally activated, so you can do that. I don't know if that's a thing that you do, but I quite like the interaction between these two cards. I think that's a cool thing that can happen. Yeah, I don't know if there's anything else that's good in this deck. It comes with a token, a Torment token, which looks kind of cool. I don't know if you want to see what that's. 3 stars. Oh, right, the Lair of Darkness, this summons a whole pile of them. Let me see if I can show you a cleaner picture of it here. Lair of Darkness. So this is actually quite a gross continuous, field spell. And you can search it with Arima, and also terraforming, the things you can do with the terraforming. Oh my word. I've been talking for a bit too long now. Sorry, it's like 9 minutes. I'll wrap this up really quickly. Let me just show you a picture of this thing. So we want to see Lair of Darkness. So that's what it looks like. It's a trap card. It says everything on the field that's face up is a dark monster. You're like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then you keep reading. It says if you attribute a dark monster you control to activate a card effect, you can tribute a dark monster your opponent controls instead. Okay, that seems kind of good. And yeah, and then once per turn during the end phase, so each end phase, you special summon as many torment tokens as possible, up to the number of monsters tributed this turn while the card is face up. So if you are tributing a lot of monsters, your board is continually going to get filled with that same amount of monsters. And if your opponent, for some reason finds ways to tribute things, they also get monsters out of it. But I mean, it's just those first two effects seem very, very strong. Yeah, and then there's an interesting virus that got printed as well called Grinning Grave Virus. So let me see if I can find that quickly. Sorry, this is so slow, guys. I didn't mean for this to take long. There we go, Grinning Grave Virus. This one's pretty cool. It's got one hell of a busted effect. It's pretty nasty, I think. Let's just get a pretty picture up there. Show me what you got. Grinning Grave Virus. Tribute a dark monster with 3,000 or less attack. Your opponent destroys one card of their choice. You have to tribute a smallish dark, or 3,000 or less attack dark monster to activate this. And then it's a virus. It just sits on the field and does stuff. Or it does things continuously after you activate it, rather. They destroy a card. But wow, they destroy a card of their choice in the hand or deck for every 500 attack that monster had on the field. So up to 3,000, 5, 10, 15, 6 at most. It's going to make them pop 6 things from their hand or deck. And if you tributed something that has 2,000 or more, it then has the effect to keep checking your opponent's hand until the 3rd turn after this card's activation and destroying all the monsters. So it does that virus thing. But then the extra cool thing about it is that right at the bottom over here it says cards destroyed and sent to the graveyard by this card's effects cannot activate their own effects in the same turn. So it switches off graveyard effects of the things that it destroys. They don't activate in the graveyard, which I think is the exceptional thing about this specific virus, is that it just tells them to shut up when they're in the graveyard. Yeah, so that's Lair of Darkness. We've got these things available on the website if you guys want to buy it. Everybody's doing their launch events for these this weekend. We're unfortunately a little bit busy, so I'm going to be moving that to next weekend. We'll be having the playmats available. There's those sweet Lair of Darkness playmats. So yeah, if anybody's keen to play, we'll be having that at our Plumstead branch. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys around.